Johnny's handgun is such a cool weapon. I love the sound and the animation. It's also pretty dang powerful. Today's build is a handgun crit build all about maximizing Johnny's handgun so that you can make him happy and he doesn't take over your body. Today's video is sponsored by me. If you do go on to enjoy this video, be sure to subscribe. I've got some more Cyberpunk builds in the works, as well as some other games we're going to start looking at as we wind down Cyberpunk. So basically the way that this build works is it's all about critical hit chance and maximizing your critical hit damage. There are some really good perks in the handgun line, which we'll get into in a little bit, that buff your critical hit chance and your damage. And basically we want to leverage these perks as well as some of the perks in the cool line in cold blood and in stealth to buff our critical hit chance and damage as far as we possibly can. This build stacks really well with a lot of the cold blood perks because there is a perk called cold and calculated, which landing a critical hit has a 25% chance of applying a stack of cold blood, which benefits from this build really well. As we're going to be killing things a lot, we're going to be critical hitting a lot, so we're going to have a huge amount of stacks of cold blood and be mostly at maximum stacks of cold blood throughout most of your combat. This means you're going to deal the most damage, have the most health regen, and just overall shred through enemies. Now let's break down your attributes. Your attributes for this build are primarily reflexes and cool, and both should be maxed out. Reflexes to 20 and cool to 20. Reflexes to increase your passive evasion and your crit chance while also holding the main handgun perks that we need for this build. And cool increases your crit damage, your resistances, some of your stealth damage, which isn't too important, but we're also going to be using a lot of the cold blood and a couple of the stealth perks here to really draw out this build. Your third attribute here is really up to you. However, if you are playing on hard or very hard, I highly recommend to use the body line for the athletics perks to increase your health and your resistances. However, it is entirely up to you. If you want to craft, you could go into technical ability, or if you wanted to do some more hacking, you could go into intelligence. Your starting attributes for this build is reflexes 6, cool 6, and body 4. Let's break down some of the perks. Now we're going to start with the reflexes perks and the handguns. Every perk in the handgun line is pretty much valuable as we are going to be using pistols and revolvers primarily. And any of the perks that I do mention, if it does have extra levels, you should be maxing that out once you do have the availability. Some of the key perks that you should get is High Noon to increase your critical chance with pistols and revolvers by 4%. Westworld to increase critical chance with pistols and revolvers by 10% if fully loaded. The Fistful of Eurodollars increases crit damage with pistols and revolvers by 10%. Brain Power, after a successful headshot with a pistol or revolver, critical hit chance increases by 25% for 5 seconds. Do you see where we're going with this? It's all about crit chance and crit damage. That's the main thing we're focusing on here. There's a couple of other perks that I really highly recommend. Wild West removes the damage penalty from pistols and revolvers when shooting from a distance, and Long Shot Drop Pop increases damage with pistols and revolvers to enemies 5+ meters away by 15%. So when you combine these two perks, when you're shooting from a distance, you not only remove that damage penalty, you do a bit of extra damage as well. And pistols do have that damage drop off, which can be dangerous, especially if you are shooting at a sniper who's well in the distance. They have a huge advantage over you. So it's just important that you pick up these perks once you do have them available to you. Now onto the cool line. And there's a couple in the stealth line, but primarily we're focusing on cold blood. So the stealth ones that we need is from the shadows. Upon entering combat, crit chance increases by 25% for 7 seconds, and Strike from the shadows increases your crit chance by 15% while sneaking. Assassin is also valuable to increase your damage to humans by 15%. And some cold blood perks. Cold and calculating, as mentioned earlier, landing a crit hit has 25% chance of applying a stack of cold blood. Frozen Precision increases headshot damage by 50%, and Icy Veins reduce weapon recoil by 2.5% per stack. Unbreakable and Cold as Blood both increase your maximum stack amount of cold blood and should be picked up as soon as you can. Basically, you can pick up any perk in cold blood that isn't related to melee damage or attack speed. Everything else will be valuable, whether it's health regen or all resistances. These will benefit you as you progress through the game. Once you get there as well, the Merciless perk is super valuable. While cold blood is active, increase crit chance by 10% and crit damage by 25%. This will require you to have a cold blood skill at 20 to unlock this final perk. However, once you do, it is super valuable to give you extra damage. Now, for your equipment, the main thing you want to focus on in your armor is critical hit chance and critical hit damage. Any armor mods that you can buy or craft that increase these values should be your key focus. Conveniently as well, Johnny Silverhand's armor that you can get does give you some crit hit chance and crit hit damage as well. So if you do find Johnny's armor throughout his quest line, you can wear this to get a little bit of extra damage from that and just complete your Johnny Silverhand fantasy as well. For weapons, it's all about handguns, and primarily we're focusing on Johnny's fantastic gun, which you can get at the end of the Chippin' In quest, which unlocks automatically as you hit Act 3 in the game. Just complete the quest and you will get the gun at the end. If you do follow these quests a little bit further, you will get more of Johnny Silverhand's gear, like his fancy samurai jacket and some other things, but this is the key thing we want for this build, is his handgun. Until you do get Johnny's gun, any power, revolver, or pistol should be your focus, as we don't have any of the smart or tech weapon perks here. So just as long as you're sticking to power and you have a weapon in that category, you should be fine. There isn't any major cyberware that benefits this build drastically. You can get some crit hit chance or crit hit damage benefits here. The only thing I would suggest is to pick up the cyberware that slows down time when you slide and dodge while aiming. This is not only fun, but it helps you avoid damage while lining up shots, especially for those really quick guys that zoom around with their dodges that they do as they charge at you. This is just a good way to line up shots. Because you only have a limited amount of bullets in a pistol, you will have to make sure you are landing your shots to deal that damage. Now onto some build tips. You should be starting your combat from stealth to trigger the strike from shadows perk. This will then also trigger your cold blood perks as you do kill the enemy, and hopefully you get an extra stack because of the cold and calculating perk, and then you really are just on a roll from there. You just start hitting enemies, dealing those crits, and your cold blood perks trigger and all the damage will start coming through. You should be dodging often so that you can avoid shots, as we won't really be hiding behind cover with this build because you do have to be in close range a lot of the times with handguns. So it's a good idea to dodge, and also using that cyberware to slow down time so you can line up the shots you need. Also, don't forget to mod or upgrade your weapons, especially when you get Johnny Silverhand's gun. You can mod this with some good mods to increase its damage. You unfortunately can't upgrade his gun for some reason, although you can upgrade other iconic weapons that you do have. Even if you don't have the crafting perks, you can still upgrade a weapon just to give it a little bit of extra DPS so you can keep using it for longer, and it also does more damage. Now, as mentioned, also be careful of snipers. You are weak at long range and they deal a ton of damage on the higher difficulties, so just be wary of them. Figure out a better way to take them out, or just focus on them first before focusing on the guys that are closer to you. It's just a good advice pretty much with any build, because snipers deal a ton of damage in this game and it is a little bit overpowered. But as long as you focus fire, you should be all good. If you're looking for more Cyberpunk builds, why not check out my Poison Netrunner build, which focuses on contagion, quick hack, and basically just quick hacking your way through enemies without the use of any weapons. Please follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and on Twitch, where I stream 2 days a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays Australian night times. Hope to see you guys there in the next stream. Thank you for watching this video. My name is NorZZa, and I hope you have a great day.